Okay, we are recording. Well, welcome everyone to the Healthy, Happy Living in the Spotlight series for the summer and probably beyond because I keep meeting awesome people. Today, well, first of all, before we get started and introduce Dr. Amy and Dr. Tyler, I just want to let you guys know again why we're doing this. And really, it's because I have expanded my horizons. I have started networking with some really cool people, and I have gotten the chance to meet these people and learn about what they do, and it fires me up. Like it really, I have a desire to share what I've learned with other people, because if that can help one person, then my purpose for the day is I can check that box off, right? So I have brought you a couple of people so far, and today we have the wonderful Dr. Tyler Lewis and Dr. Amy Gunderson / Lewis. Do we say that?
Yep, it is now.
Great, awesome. They're married and they do some incredible work that I had never heard of before. Actually, Dr. Amy and I met at this really strange fitness health expo that we did in like the basement of the downtown Dallas. It was so weird. But I met her there and she shared a little bit about what they do and how they do it. And I have to be very honest, I haven't personally gone to see them yet, but I know people who have, and I know the kind of adjustments and the kind of things that have happened because they've gone to see them. And I've referred them out to quite a few people. So anyway, so I just want to introduce you guys as the owners of Unbound, the company here in Dallas, and just tell us who you are. Tell us a little bit about the company and what you do.
So, man, that's such a
I know
it's a broad question. So many different angles on this one.
I know.
Yeah. So, Amy and I met in chiropractic school, and what really got us to connect was we found this amazing and very difficult to describe form of chiropractic that really, like, when you get in there and you actually experience it, it opens your world up to so many possibilities, so many new ways of being that was, for at least myself, and I believe Amy, just, it really rocked us to the foundation of, what we thought life expression could be about. And we connected on that level in the midst of like experiencing this type of care at the time called network spinal analysis, now called network spinal care. But like we got to like go through this really intense healing journey together. And in the midst of that healing journey that we got to experience and kind of work with each other and off each other in this, it really fueled our relationship to grow and develop. And since then, obviously we've graduated. We decided that we were going to open up a practice together because after experiencing this, there's just no way we could ever do anything else. I mean, like literally had very set trajectories in our life, and we stopped that and said, okay, obviously this is what life is about now. And we're going to share this with the world.
Right.
And, now next month will be 4 years since we started practice. And so we're super excited about that. And it has been the best, most wonderful, incredible, miraculous journey I've ever experienced.
That's fantastic. That is fantastic. Well, you probably answered about half of my questions. Well, let's change trajectory a little bit here and ask, so where did you guys grow up?
Okay, so I grew up in Washington State.
Okay.
Just south of Seattle, maybe 30, 40 minutes.
Okay.
And I lived there my whole life until I moved here for chiropractic school to Dallas.
Okay.
Yep, so I've been here since 2012, so about 8 years now.
Okay, got you. I spent a little bit of time in Seattle when it's the same age that my son is now. When I was 14 going on 15, I went up there for the Pacific Northwest summer session, the ballet school summer session.
Awesome.
I was there for 6 weeks by myself.
How was that?
Well, guess who learned what the Rocky Horror Picture Show was at that time?
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, I stayed on campus. It was awesome, but this is not my story. How about you, Tyler?
Yeah, I grew up very different than Amy. I grew up in a small town. I grew up in Hot Springs, Arkansas. I was born in an even smaller town in North Louisiana. So, I mean, it's like totally different trajectory. My mom, like I was very set in the medical direction. And my mom she had like plantar fasciitis and started seeing a chiropractor to go just try something different because nothing was helping her.
Okay.
She got turned on to it, said, hey, you have to come experience this. And that was basically, I met the guy who worked in Hot Springs at the time, who went to Parker in Dallas. And so then I went that trajectory after finding out about it. And yeah, that's how I eventually ended up here.
Well, I love Hot Springs too. We were just there a couple of weeks ago. So there you go.
Yeah, awesome.
Full circle.
All connected. Yeah, right.
That's how that works. That's awesome. And then you guys live here in the Dallas area now, correct?
Yep.
We do.
And you practice here in the Dallas area. Just out of curiosity, do you do any Zoom? Is this all hands-on, or do you do remote work?
Yeah, and so the adjustments themselves are hands-on, but we do a lot of breath work via Zoom. So we have people that we work with doing breathing exercises that helps calm their nervous system. And
that's good. That's really good. Okay, good to know. So what would you say is one of your superpowers? I love this question.
Okay, I know, right? Good question. Superpowers. I would say for me, it's being really present and listening. And so that really helps in practice, just because, we're looking at a holistic view of a person, not just what's going on in their body, but emotions and mind and just perceptions. And so a really big superpower of mine is just to be able to listen and take in the whole.
I love that. That is so huge, because sometimes people just they don't know how to listen.
Right.
They don't know how. They've never been taught, or they've never had the opportunity to, or they just keep barreling through, and they want their word to be the one that's heard. So that is a superpower. How about you, Tyler?
I'm going to top hers off just a little bit, because there's a little bit more left to her superpower. She listening and never forgetting.
Oh,
like an elephant.
She never forgets. Like, she listens so well. Like, we'll talk. I remember we got into a discussion because we were at a seminar, we heard something, and years later we're talking about it. And I'm like, no, that's not what was said. She goes, absolutely, that was said. This is word for word how it was said. Well, we had a recording. And after we went back and listened to it, and it was word for word.
Oh my
she
God.
said it was. I'm like, all right, we're done. I'm never doubting you again.
Pretty amazing. And sometimes, depending on the situation, it could be slightly annoying. I'm not going to lie.
Nothing gets
Gotta be careful. No, it's true. It's very true. As far as my superpower, I would have to say, would be being vulnerable and creating a vulnerable space, and able to make a very deep and authentic emotional connection. I mean, emotion is energy in motion, and like being able to really be with that piece that is wanting to be revealed and wanting to come up to move and be expressed. I love that more than anything. As far as being with people and being able to interact with that field.
That's fantastic. Do you have anything to top that, Amy?
I just second that. Agreed.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. That's so important, especially in the work that you guys are doing, because it is so special and it is so different, that being able to listen and being able to express and allow people to express that and being present is so important. So that's wonderful. Okay, so of course we're in a special time, as we like to call it in my mind and the people that run into my mind. What would you say is something that you really do love about this time in our lives, when we're quarantined and when we're limited to a certain extent?
Yeah, I think it's just that what appeared to be limiting has actually personally pushed me to branch out in different ways and to be able to connect like via Zoom, right? Like connect with people that I wouldn't on a day-to-day basis. And so I've created like an online program, and there's people from all over the United States in it. And so it's so fun that even though we seem to be less connected, I feel more connected at this time.
That's awesome. That's incredible. That's incredible. How about you, Tyler?
I would say that it really kind of forced, I mean, myself, I'll speak for myself, but I see this happening in a lot of people as well, but forced to kind of recognize what's important. What is it that we really need in our life day to day? What are things that we do that are really just because we're feeling uncomfortable with things, we're trying to like not be present with our lives? What distractions are taking the place of things that are very important in our lives? And that's been actually incredibly valuable. I mean, I see myself thinking and feeling different, and being able to support people on their journey, thinking and feeling different. And it's actually led myself and a lot of people to be empowered. Like, oh, wow, you know, for so long, I kind of gave my power away to other circumstances, other people, other situations to like do things for me. Well, now I have to do it for myself. And then all of a sudden you start doing it for yourself. Like, oh man, okay, I got what it takes. This is actually really good. And all of a sudden now permanent behaviors are being created in the midst of all of this chaos. And people are really finding out what they're made of in the time where it feels like we've almost, you know, lost our power, areas that are infinitely powerful and unwavering.
That's fantastic. I have felt the same. I felt like there is, especially in my business, in my team, there's a certain amount of painful growth that people are going through, you know, that those spaces and that the places where you're recognizing specific things about either how you've been behaving thus far and how those no longer serve you. I know personally, I've had two things that have happened, and it's because my family loves me and they'll say, hey, perhaps you should look at this, because this is what you're showing up as. And, you know, before I didn't have to share my space with everybody every day. So
yeah, isn't it beautiful what happens with more family time and having that intimate space?
Beautiful is a great way to put it.
Yep.
Yeah, I pray for those that don't have, you know, the same scenario that we do, but it certainly has been a growth scenario in our house. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's kind of what you guys were saying, you know, all pain is a cry for intimacy, you know, and getting very connected with all of that.
I keep thinking also of the lobster who has to get out of its shell and grow out of its shell in order to grow a new one. And it's a very painful process. I think a lot of that is happening right now with social consciousness too. For sure. Okay. So what is one of your all-time favorite accomplishments thus far?
I'll start this one off. So mine has to be opening my own practice, which I never thought I was going to do, but opening my own practice, getting married and buying a house, all with the same person.
Yeah.
And loving every minute of it, having like the most badass teammate. Like, this has been the wildest ride. Like the fact that literally we're together all day, every day, since the very beginning of our relationship, all day, every day, building things together, creating things together, like building this really stable, vulnerable space and platform and container to like build from and help other people from. And it's just awesome. And like, for me, that is a huge, tremendous success, because these aren't separate aspects of my life. These are all like a core set in my life, working together with the person who I love being on this planet with.
Man, that is so powerful. That is so powerful, because there's so many people that would never want to work with their spouse.
Yeah.
Ever. I mean, I get it. I was lucky enough to work with my husband for a little while too. Same thing. It was just so wonderful to be able to do that. So that's wonderful. Okay. How about you?
Yeah,
Anna?
totally. I mean, same. It's like you said, it's not the easiest thing and not a lot of people would want to do it, but showing up every day and facing the things that people reflect for us, right? So being the person I need to be every day for this to be such a nurturing space for both of us, I think that just being present with that is one of the biggest accomplishments I've had to date too.
I love that. That's fantastic. Now, what would you say really drives you to strive to be the best in the space? So you guys are definitely showing up in this interview and I know showing up to me as somebody who really takes pride in making sure that you're authentic with what you're doing in the space that you're doing and the service that you're providing. So what is the drive? What keeps you in that space of wanting to be the best at that?
Yeah. I mean, I think that really ties into just my personal being. Like I've always strived to be the best version of myself, and that's no different than the best practitioner or whatever it is, the best wife or the best partner or the best friend. It's like, it's just a continuation, and it's just something that has always been in my nature of really wanting to push that edge. And that's what I'm passionate about. And then watching, like, holding space for others. If I don't go against that edge and like really develop that part of me, I can't sit in a space and hold someone through that. And so it's like, through my experience, I know that it benefits other people, because then I can hold a space that I have actual context for.
Oh, so good. So good. How about you, Tyler?
I mean, that was a really well articulated version of
Yeah.
what I would say.
Ditto.
Yeah, ditto. But yeah, I mean, like, I'm constantly striving to be the best possible person that I can be. And I recognize that in all professions, they're just different expressions of people showing up and wanting to serve others. We just so happen to find a profession that, in our opinion, goes to the deepest level, most comprehensive, man, how do you put this, like, entanglement of like all of these different aspects of life, and really helps people feel empowered and safe, and like Amy was saying, really starts pushing that growing edge. And I recognize that I can't take people past where I'm at. So if I want to be able to serve people to a deeper level, I have to be willing to go to those spaces as well. So the more that I can allow myself to go there, the more healing that I allow to take place in my life, it just forms a bigger container for other people to be able to do the same.
I love that. I love that, because you do it. There is, again, it kind of goes back to what we were talking about before, that through the growth, you learn enough of what you need to learn for those folks that you are supposed to serve.
Yeah, and the greatest thing a healer can do is heal themselves. So yeah.
Bang, 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 big time. I work for some people that don't, and it's painful to watch, because all they want to do is serve someone else, and you're just like, oh, that turnaround.
Yeah.
Yep. Mirrors.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Have you guys both had that, like, in your entire life? Have you always like had that determination to?
Yeah, it's interesting. Growing up, like, I actually had a lot of struggles, like, mentally. I had obsessive compulsive disorder, which like ran my life, but ultimately that's wanting everything to be in order and perfect. So it's kind of the wound of it. Like, I tried to control everything, but I wanted things to be better or perfect or whatever it was, organized. And then once I realized that was just a way to like really detach from some of these tough things that needed to heal, that's when like the gift of it started to kick in, and it was like the healthy version. So I've experienced both sides of the coin.
Yeah. Oof. Man. And when you can't win, boy, talk about a mirror. Woo.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
It's right up here in your face, and there's just nothing that you can do but either address it or not. Right.
Yeah. Exactly. And once I found like the other side of it, it's like my whole life started to take off. Before that, I had myself just in a cage.
Yeah. I feel that. I definitely do. How about you, Tyler? Was there like a thing that brought you to this? I mean, I know your mom introduced you to this, but was there something in your past and your childhood that brought you to this?
Pain is a great motivator, and pain shows up in many different ways. And, the pain that I experienced was less physical and more kind of a mental and emotional pain, where, I grew up in a society, in a community that really defines success as looking a certain way, or prestige looked a certain way, or, a doctor was supposed to do certain things. And as I started like diving into all of that stuff, I'm like, I see a lot of miserable people across the board. And so there's something that was missing there. So I just was really kind of open to those questions, because for me, what's really important is that it's more of a sensation, it's more of a perception of what success feels like. And whether that's in health, whether that's professional, whether that's in a relationship. And then, I started looking at things from a totally different angle. And I see now, and like kind of going through that whole process, kind of trial by fire, because like Amy said, like I was living in the wound of those challenges for a long time. I had a lot of pride, I had a lot of ego, because I was doing this thing that I was supposed to do. I was checking off all the boxes, look at me. And it's like, that's not what life is about. That's not what people are really looking for. That's not what I was really looking for. That was me trying to fill a void. Right. And now on the other side of that, I get to serve people who I recognize are like, have these stories that, you know, their mind has created, and they're trying so hard to defend those stories, but it's not the stories that are necessarily what are really important. It's what the stories are really protecting. Right. You know, what vulnerable spaces are protecting. But because if you can just allow that to dissolve and get to the vulnerable space, like there's something juicy and amazing in there that can sprout and emerge and just provide you with the greatest gifts you never even thought possible that you can access. And so, yeah, both sides.
Woo!
Yeah.
Give me shivers. Yeah. Absolutely. I think that's so important. So important, because there's a lot of pain out there. Yeah. And you do have to be honest with yourself, and you do have to allow yourself to go to a certain space in order to get past that and to get to the other side. So, and it for everybody.
Totally.
So good. Okay. So are there two, you know, from your specific work, are there two success stories, or, you know, things that you can compliantly share with, you know, not sharing names or whatever, of people that have come to you and used your service and have found a benefit from it?
You know, for me, one that really, or like a few that really stand out, just because it hits really close to home, there's been quite a few people come in that have been on antidepressants their whole life. Mm-hmm. And I know, like, people think a lot of times chiropractic is just physical, but our nervous systems control everything, right? It controls our hormones, our thoughts, our perceptions. And so watching people get off their antidepressants that they've been on their whole lives is just like huge. And so those ones like really get me to watch someone after 30 years. And then another scenario, we had someone that came in and right away the work just like completely turned her life around, that she quit everything she was doing and signed up for chiropractic school so she could be a practitioner. So that was really cool too.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's really cool. That's a good one. That's a real good one. Well, good. Well, what about a challenge or a failure, or something where somebody has come in and it just hasn't worked? Is there something that, you know, there's always a learning behind failure, but
totally.
Is there one in particular?
And, you know, when I think about that, like what stands out most is like when we first got into practice, I didn't communicate how important it is to see a process through. And, you know, when people are under care, there's a care plan to get their nervous system healthy and efficient and doing what it needs to do. And so there was quite a few failures in the beginning. People would fall off partway through and not realize that a process looks a lot of different ways and you have to see it through. And so I feel like, you know, me personally not communicating that and keeping that at the forefront, like I failed them because they could have had so much more. And so there's quite a bit of that, but it definitely learning. It made me change my communication and talk to people about what it's like to really see something from beginning to end and why. Yeah.
Right. And the why. That's really, really important. How about you, Tyler? Do you have some favorite successes or failures?
So I'm going to work backwards from her because I want to,
okay.
Just going to follow up. Yeah. Failure first. Because it was just such an enlightening experience. Both being a practitioner and a business owner, you know, we had a really amazing opportunity early on in practice because this stuff is just really amazing. And so we were actually able to get on the news. We got on WFAA. We had a segment where we were featured with our technique and everything else like that. And we were 5-6 months into practice. I mean, we were very new. And that being said, what Amy was saying, the communication aspect. I mean, communication is by far, regardless of what field you're in, if you're a human being, communication is the most important skill to master.
Right.
And there was just so many missed opportunity for communication. And like Amy was saying, I think the greatest lesson that I learned is I recognize that we live in a society that's very pain avoidant or pain management based. Mm-hmm. I mean, like think about the pain industry is one of the biggest industries in the United States. It's huge. And like Amy was saying, like the healing journey looks many different ways for many different people. And with what we do, we value pain. Pain is a teacher. Pain is that messenger to say that, you know, something needs to change. It's that cry for intimacy. And now that we're like there and can be able to communicate that better along the process and support people better. You know, like looking back at that situation, there were just a lot of missed opportunities to be able to help people, you know, transcend that paradigm and really reach deep, deep, deep levels of healing, which would have just been amazing. And we've learned, and we, you know, are getting much better at the communication aspects of things and are helping a lot more people. But as far as successes, I'm kind of going too into the age range. I mean, one thing, I'm not going to include this. I'll just say this. You know, we've had women come in not thinking they could get pregnant, and surprise, you know.
Guess what?
That's always fun.
Yeah.
So that's been a lot of fun. But specifics now, like I'll start with the small child that we had. He was really young, 7, 8 years old, and born just with lung issues, could never breathe, asthma, all types of respiratory issues, couldn't play sports, nothing like that. Had been on steroids and inhalers and all kinds of crazy stuff his entire life. Comes in for maybe just a little bit over a month. And it was like, all of a sudden he's breathing, he's getting off of a lot of his medications. He's like signed up for football so he can go play football. And he's never been able to do that. So he's so excited about all of this stuff. And just because his body was able to heal, and it was just like,
after 4 weeks, he didn't have to use an inhaler anymore. Yeah. And then they went back to the doctor they had been seeing to monitor that. And he was just like, I don't understand. This has never happened.
I guess medication finally started working.
Yeah.
Right.
That was one. And on the other end, you know, we have someone who's, you know, older, mid-70s. And one of the objective measures we do is we measure and assess the health and function of your stress response system or your autonomic system. And it's really neat because we can see like how old you are versus how old are you functioning.
Right. That's the thing that I got to do with you.
Yeah, you did that.
Yeah. And so that thing is so amazing. And I love that instrument because it shows you, okay, are you functioning, you know, biologically much younger than you are, or are you your age or older, right? And we had somebody who was older, mid-70s, who had hip surgery, significant physical traumas, all of these things, started off in a really rough place. All of a sudden we measured her, this was like a couple of weeks ago, and it was like functioning literally half their age. I mean, it was awesome, like in the mid-30s. It was just crazy.
Wow.
That was really cool. That was so cool. And you could just see impressed.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I just want to be happy dead. Like that's
right. Exactly.
Just like
going off a cliff, just done.
Happy, healthy dead. And you know, whatever I can do say so that my husband and I, you know, once the kids are gone and they're all doing their, let's just be happy and healthy for as long as we can.
Yep. I agree.
Go on to whatever is next. You know,
agreed.
So that's fantastic. What a great measure. Yeah, I think let's see, we met 2 years ago?
Yeah.
So I would have been around 42, 43, and I think I was measuring in the 30s, like the mid.
Yeah. 30s. Yes. Which doesn't surprise me. Like clearly, yes, you're all about all the healthy things.
Healthy things now. I do. Yes. It's been very fun in my 40s to, you know, recognize and you know, find attract all of these healthy things that are coming to me, which is another reason why we're having this interview. Well, cool. Well, so with regards to communication then, is there, before we close this up with a cute little button, is there something in particular that you really feel like is the most important thing to communicate to people in order for them to understand if you are the right fit? Now, in my mind, I think you're the right fit for a lot of people, in fact, all. But is there something that they need to ask themselves, or some communication that you know now that you didn't know then that you would share?
You know, honestly, like what Tyler was saying about valuing pain, and pain is an indicator that something needs to change. People will get good results if they're willing to be with some of the stuff that comes up, like the tough stuff, right? Because if it's about just avoiding pain, it's not the right fit.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's real big. Because they kind of have to make that agreement.
Yeah,
right?
Like they're willing to do what it takes.
Right. Because you guys can do that amazing work if they are compliant to that.
Right. And it's not saying like, you know, oh, it's going to be excruciating. You have to be with things that it's not like
Right.
that. It's just saying like, you might get uncomfortable because there's things in your life that you're going to be asked to shift. Right. Or
Right.
yeah.
Right. And it could
Yeah.
very well not just affect you, but the
Right.
people that are around you. If there's behavior that has been ingrained for years and years and years with a certain amount of people that are in your life, and then all of a sudden you're showing up with a different persona, it can be very confusing and concerning for people.
Yes. Yes. So then
So,
to be able to like commit to being vulnerable and have conversations with the people around you, and if relationships aren't a good fit or certain activities aren't a good fit, being willing to surrender them and you know, be open to something new.
yeah, that's huge. Oof. And this is deep. And it's, you know, and be compliant too, just to go back to that, just I have my son is about to get some really serious dental orthodontia work done. And I was like, look, dude, if you're not going to brush your teeth every day and take care of your teeth, you will be terminated from this. And then you will owe me a lot of money. So it's kind of the same idea that, listen,
exactly.
if you're going to do this and we're going to do it the best way that we can, let's be all in.
Yep. Yep.
I love that. I love that. Well, so where can people find you? Where's the best place for people to look for you for your services?
So either our website, you know, selfunbound.com.
Okay.
We also were on Instagram as Self Unbound Dallas, and then Facebook
Okay.
as well, Self Unbound. But any avenue.
Now, let me ask this question. Let's say there's somebody that's not in Dallas that's tuning in and they're listening to this. How, I know that you have some Zoom offerings and you have some breathing things that they can do, but what if they do need to see someone in person? Is there a network that they can go to find other network spinal care?
I know, a network for the network. And yeah, there are in most major cities, there's practitioners. So really if they reach out, we can hook them up with someone for sure.
Awesome. That's great. Because I think that's, you know, if there's somebody in Florida and they want to go see someone, but they don't even know where to start, it's nice to know that they can come to you and then get the right direction started. So,
yep, and our community is pretty close, so we know like everyone pretty personally, so that's nice.
So let me ask that question then before we close. So how many practitioners are there in the United States that do what you guys do?
If I were to guess, I would say maybe like 500.
I would guess that.
Yeah, so not a ton, but like I said, every major city has some, so that's good. And then sometimes you'll get surprised by some of the smaller cities that have one. But
right,
yeah,
right, like the herbalists that are hiding.
Yeah. There's a few.
Yeah.
So
People don't know that they're there. I love it. Well, guys, thank you so much for your time. This has been a really fantastic interview. I feel like I've gotten to know you guys a little bit better, and hopefully the folks that listen in are going to maybe have a little light bulb that goes off that says, maybe I should call them. You know, so I really appreciate and value your time, and thank you for sharing it with me today.
Oh, thank you so much. Yes.
You're welcome.
Awesome.
You're so welcome.
I always love talking to you.
Me too. I think it's fun. I think we have a good time together. But anyway, well, thank you guys so much, and come back next week. We will have another interview next week, and
awesome.
Happy Network Spinal Care Day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Bye-bye.